The EU is about to force Poland and Hungary to become an LGBT Freedom Zone, overriding the will of the Polish and the Hungarian people. Now, before you tell me I'm a homophobe, I'm not, but these countries are sovereign nations, and if you allow the EU to force them into submission, sooner or later the same thing will happen to your country on another issue. I'm all for equal rights for everyone, but take a step back and think about what's actually going on. Just a week ago, the EU initiated a Europe-wide vaccine passport program that individual countries in Europe couldn't gain popular support for, so the EU kind of just stepped in and did it anyways, and now those laws will apply to your countries in a few months. Now, the same thing is happening here with Poland and Hungary and their LGBT rights debate. Look, I think a lot of people agree with the position that the EU is taking, but the way they implement it is wrong. I do approve of the EU when it promotes human rights and democracy, but that's exactly the point here, democracy. Democracy is not beating the will of the people of a European nation into submission by passing laws outside of the countries that they will have to comply with inside of that country. Alright, so this whole issue began in 2019 when Poland declared that more than 100 municipalities were going to be these so-called LGBT Free Zones, right? Back then, the EU quickly slapped Poland with sanctions trying to stop them from having these zones, but Poland kinda stood their ground and didn't budge. Today, however, this guy, who's France's Europe minister, said that he was pressured into not visiting these so-called LGBT Free Zones, so now the EU decided that sanctions were not enough anymore. Because now we live in 2021 and democracy doesn't really matter as long as you feel really strongly about, well, anything. So because of all of this, yesterday a debate was started within the EU to make all of Europe a so-called LGBT Freedom Zone. Which sounds kinda cool because we're all in favor of more freedom, like more of that. But if you look into it, it aims to specifically override the legal laws within Poland and Hungary because people outside of those nations find their laws offensive. Okay, so I know what you're thinking here. Soren, this is for a good cause that I believe in, that makes it okay to destroy democracy. But actually, I don't care how good a cause it is if it tears down the fabric of democracy within a sovereign nation, and for some reason, a good amount of people don't seem to get that anymore. So a lot of countries are already supporting this bill. One of the people debating this said that the EU must be a freedom zone for all of us without exception. Another lady from Denmark said that in Europe, all of Europe, everyone is free to be whoever they want and love whoever they want. And so on and so on. For the most part, I agree with all of their statements on freedom, that everyone should be allowed to live as they will. But the problem is that their talks about freedom will be put into action by laws. Laws that are going to override the will of the people. And when outside forces override the will of the people in a democracy, I find it ironic to call that freedom. Again, I agree with the statement, but not with the execution of their beliefs. Kind of how you can agree with the slogan of Black Lives Matter that all Black lives matter without agreeing with the actual political movement. I made it almost until the end without saying something that's going to get me banned. Well, there you go. Look guys, do social movements, convince the other people in your nation that your ideas are better than what they believe in right now. Don't use force to make people agree with you. It's not democracy, it's not freedom, no matter how many times you use the words.